Today, we hear directly from Somali Community as they respond to President Trump sending ICE after Somalis in Minnesota. Check it out.
America, stop! Haram! May the curse of Allah be upon you. Ilahikum alab. Taramo. Why you attacking the people of Haram? Taram!
This is the freedom. I'm coming to my process immigration.
What country are you from?
I'm from Western
Here, I don't know what they're doing. I have no idea. These guys are so stupid. I don't know what they're talking.
What they want to see.
My passport.
We are following some developing news involving a local Somali community advocate. In just the last couple hours, we've confirmed ICE took Omar Jamal into custody in downtown Minneapolis.
Please watch this video and educate the elderly people. Understand that you are on social media, but they're not on social media, so they do not know their right. Please get off of your phone and go educate. This is a very serious matter. When you're in your house, you do not have to open the door. If they knock on your door, don't be like, I'm a citizen, I'm gonna open the door. From what we've seen so far, these people do not care whether you're a citizen or not. They wanna make you suffer. There's a different agenda, there's a bigger agenda going on here. So do not open your door unless you see a search warrant. If they say they have a search warrant, tell them to slide it under the door for you to see it, and you make sure that there's a judge signature down there. If you're outside and they try to talk to you, you can remain silent. You always have that right to remain silent. And if they keep on questioning you, you ask them, am I under arrest? And if they tell you, no, you're not under arrest, go on and move about your day. Do not be scared.
It's that act of looking over my shoulder, which pains me because I am a United States citizen. This is my home, and I don't want to feel unsafe in my home. It's harassment disguised as law enforcement.
Are people afraid to leave their homes right now?
They are afraid, yeah. I've heard of people carrying extra identification on them, like passports.
You can't say you want people to come to America legally, you have a problem with illegals, and then incite hate against legal immigrants. Like, calling ICE on Somalis is literally gonna do nothing because America in the fucking 90s brought so many Somalis over in droves. But we make up literally less than 2% of the American population, but all of a sudden we're full of fraud, we're scammers, Are you guys forgetting in that one scam, a literal white woman was the head of that and that's why she's locked up? Are we just gonna forget Sweet Amy? You niggas are such hypocrites, okay? You either say you don't want immigrants, and that includes yourself because you are an immigrant, because no one here is native to this land but the Native Americans, or you shut the fuck up. You can't say you want people to come here legally and then try to convict them and deport them if they came here legally. It doesn't work like that.
So Trump is coming at the Somali community again because he thinks he can bully us because we are a very small minority in the U.S. A very small, tiny dot in the big sea. Population-wise, very tiny people in the U.S., right? But there's one woman in Congress that is Somali, that's a hijabi, that's a Muslim, that's an African black woman, and that's successful, that's outspoken, and he hates everything she stands for. Simply because of her race, her religion, that she's an educated, outspoken woman, and he's attacking where she's from. So that he's dragging all the Somalis. But realize, a lot of people are saying it's just Ilhan Omar. I don't think it's just Ilhan Omar. I think what's happening is, in this country, before, like, have you noticed Arabs aren't as much hated as before? Because of Saudi Arabia and Qatar giving him jets and money, you know what I mean, from what we've seen on the news. They decided they still want to attack Muslims, right? But they're trying to figure out what type of Muslims should we attack. In comes the Somalis. We're a minority within a minority within a minority. A dot, okay? Our numbers are not even, like, they're barely probably 100,000 people in the U.S. But they're coming at us so hard. That man, the president, is coming at us so much because he feels like, since he can't go after the Arabs, if he didn't have a relationship with the Saudis giving him money, he has, interest in that country and Qatar and all the GCC countries, he would have been coming for all the Arabs here. But because of that, he's coming for Somalis now because we're an easier target.
How are we as Somalis the face of this, right? Of the face of all fraudulent activity? And even someone had brought up sweet girl Amy, right? They were like, bro, like this lady, are we just being used as like the scapegoat, you know? But these, you know what I mean? And like,
Absolutely.
so what are your thoughts on that too? Because I was just,
you know, I have like a lot of theories. Some it's more of like a narrative. They're building a narrative. Yes, there was corruption and there still is, and it happens all over the United States. Federal funding does get corrupted. I've seen that across all communities. And some Somali people were exposed for corrupting money, you know, and abusing funds and using it for things that they're not supposed to. But are they the front-facing issue? Are they the reason why all the corruption in Minnesota happens? Do they have all the DHS money and they're using? No, that's a damn lie. But it's more of like a narrative. They're building a narrative. Yes, there was corruption.
Donald Trump, what he said has to be the biggest eye-opener for all of the Somali expats living in our country. And this is the thing about us immigrants. We get caught up in building other people's countries. If I was an American, I would be straight away thinking about how to get back to Somalia, Somaliland, wherever you come from. Why? Because how are you contributing to a country that sees you that badly? And by the way, Donald Trump is the only one who's actually vocal about it. There's others that think the same thing. That's why I say the least that you can do is build up your own country. And I'm not saying go into politics. You're contributing to your country just by living there. I would just advise my Somali American brothers and sisters, especially those living in Minnesota. Invest in your own land. Invest in your own country. Don't waste your efforts on pleasing another man and another country.
So the post regarding the whole TPS thing is so laughable. If one were to, federally impose dismantling TPS, it would not be, in Minnesota. It would take place in all 50 states. That's one. Secondly, the statement was so laughable because a lot of Somalis here in Minnesota are U.S. citizens, myself included. Like, I am a U.S. citizen, and I'm not sorry about that. And also, if these people really want us to go back to Somalia, a country that many of us have never set foot into, be my guest. I would love to be somewhere warm and sunny, dipping my feet into the sand, drinking some really cool drinks, than to be in cold, gloomy Minnesota. Like, the reason why these people, say so much crap about us is because they're not us. It's all from jealousy, right? Like, only a jealous person would speak so much about the people that they are jealous of. Does that make sense? And if anyone wants to be racist, I'll just be like, okay, well, they're coming home to peanut butter and jelly. I'm coming home to baris y pasta and maloah and anjero.
As a Somali American who lives in Minnesota, it's really disheartening to hear and to read comments about my community, to hear people write, go home. To those people, I want you to know that America is home. I have lived in America since I was 7 years old. So when you tell me to go home, I think, okay, do they want me to go to Minneapolis, where I first lived, or maybe to St. Paul, or Brooklyn Park? Again, we are your neighbors. We are your teachers. We are your principals. We are your lawyers. We are you can fill in the blank. We are Minnesotans.
Hi, so I just really want to make this video from a human space. This is something I've been really meaning to say, and I'm so glad that I can finally articulate it to you guys. So I'm Somali. I grew up in Minnetonka. I've been raised here my entire life. I am born here and I've lived here. I've studied here. I'm a pre-med. I do research, and that's usually the type of stuff I talk about on my page. But right now I feel like it's really important for me to say this. What I'm going to say is that I have been getting so many messages telling me to go back to your country, go back to your country. But the reality of the situation is the United States is the only country I've ever known my entire life. And the thing is, the great irony of it all is I'm not the ambassador of Somalia. I don't speak for Somali people. I'm not a spokesperson for this community. I'm just one young person trying to study, navigate life, and live like any other 20-something-year-old living here in this state. And so something that I feel like is going on is that there's a lot of immigrant people and first-gen, second-gen kids like me, with this weight on our shoulders, trying to explain everything going on in our communities, trying to defend our communities. But I'm really no different from any other 20-something-year-old trying to make it here in this state, in this country, in this world. And so I'm sharing this because I really feel like a lot of us are being treated this way and dealing with this quietly. But the reality is we aren't symbols. We aren't some type of ambassador. We are just human beings like everybody else.
From the moment Black Americans began making measurable gains in civil rights, political power, and economic growth, a quiet but deliberate strategy began taking shape in America, using immigration policy as a tool to weaken, replace, and dilute the upward movement of foundational Black Americans. The pattern is not random. It is historical. It is strategic, and it stretches from the 1970s all the way to the present. After the Civil Rights Movement, Black Americans were finally breaking into union jobs, government positions, and local political leadership. Cities with strong Black populations, Los Angeles, Chicago, New York, Houston, Miami, were becoming centers of Black culture, Black political power, and rising Black middle-class success. But instead of rewarding these gains, white supremacist power structures pivoted toward a new strategy: import new populations while undermining existing Black communities. This pattern becomes painfully clear in Los Angeles, California, starting in the late 1970s. Black Americans had significant control of neighborhoods like Compton, Watts, Inglewood, and South Central. But instead of investing in these communities, California politicians and city elites allowed waves of immigration, primarily from Mexico and Central America, to reshape the labor market. These new groups were often openly prioritized by employers, police departments, construction firms, and political machines. As a result, Black workers were slowly pushed out of construction jobs, manufacturing jobs, and longshore positions that had historically supported Black families. By the 1990s, entire sections of LA that were once predominantly FBA had flipped, pushing Black Americans out through job loss, rising housing costs, redistricting, and even gang policing tactics that targeted Black youth while leaving Latino gangs untouched. This was not organic change. It was engineered displacement. The same strategy appeared in Texas, especially in Houston and Dallas. Black neighborhoods that had been stable for decades found themselves overwhelmed by sudden shifts in demographic weight. Political representation changed. Public resources were redirected. In many cases, cities began courting immigrant labor to keep wages low, undercutting Black workers who had fought for fair pay and union protection. In New York, immigration was used to dilute Black voting power and political influence. Black communities that once held strong cultural and economic positions, Harlem, Brooklyn, Queens, saw dramatic demographic restructuring that weakened FBA political blocs. Gentrification and immigrant-driven housing competition pushed tens of thousands of Black Americans out of the city entirely. In Florida, large immigration waves, Cuban, Haitian, Central, and South American, reshaped Miami, Orlando, and Tampa. At the same time, state and local systems frequently refused to direct resources to long-standing Black neighborhoods, arguing that funding needed to be diverted to newcomer populations. Black workers, especially in agriculture, construction, and hospitality, were replaced by cheaper immigrant labor. Chicago saw the same pattern. As Black political power grew in the 1970s and 80s, the city's elites responded by reshaping the demographic landscape. Immigrant populations were elevated in politics while Black neighborhoods were stripped of industry, housing support, and jobs. Black voting blocs were intentionally weakened, preventing the rise of another Harold Washington-style Black political power base. Then there is Minnesota, one of the clearest examples of targeted demographic engineering. Starting in the 1990s, the state opened the floodgates to immigration, particularly from East Africa. Instead of investing in the long-established Black American population in the Twin Cities, political leadership chose to import massive new populations who could be molded into new voting blocs, new labor pools, and new political machines. As these groups were uplifted and heavily funded, many foundational Black Americans were pushed out of housing, jobs, and neighborhoods. Minneapolis, once with a strong historic FBA presence, saw displacement accelerate dramatically. Now, under Donald Trump's immigration crackdowns, including the latest enforcement waves in Minnesota, a new shift has emerged. Many of the same political leaders who once championed unlimited immigration are now struggling to respond to federal restrictions. But for FBAs, this moment reveals something important. The government could control immigration all along. They simply chose not to, until political power, not FBA well-being, demanded it. Tell me what you think about this topic. Hope you find the information in this video informative. Feel free to like, subscribe, share, comment. Thanks for watching.